Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Running Temple podcast. And on today's episode, I'm actually going to be talking a little bit about how I train for a marathon and also how I structure my plans to prepare in the best way possible. So, the feeling when I'm 3 miles in to a run and my legs start feeling like concrete. And I start regretting my decisions and thinking, why on earth am I doing this? Well, that is pretty much marathon training in a nutshell. In my opinion, it does require a lot of mental strength, resilience, commitment, and a lot of consistency. But I would say for me, my training starts with a plan. Not just a running plan, but a life plan. I create myself a plan that builds the mileage gradually over. It tends to be 10 to 12 weeks is how long I do train for a marathon. And this just gives my body enough time to sort of feel the benefits, really, of the training. And to also just feel ready enough that I can complete the marathon and that I've put enough effort into to do that. So every week it is different, but kind of similar at the same time. It will consist of a mix of long runs for my endurance, some speed workouts just to get the legs turning over at an effort, and easy recovery runs that sort of keep me from just burning out and just keep my legs ticking over at a relative pace that I can sustain. The first few weeks are just sort of build my base fitness, really. So I'll tend to just stick to 5 and 10k runs, which puts me at roughly around 25 to 30 miles weekly on average for the first 2 to 3 weeks. The first stage is just getting myself running consistently and having sort of a strong platform to build from on for the rest of the training block, really. And then around the third week until the 5th or 6th week, I will increase my average to around 40 to 50 miles. And that's, when my 18 and 20 mile runs, the long runs start, and that's when I know, okay, I'm in the middle of a marathon block here. Then the next 3 to 4 weeks, my distance does dramatically increase to around 60 to 70 miles. And this is the part which, for me, I like the most, because it's where I feel my fitness comes into play, and it's improved from the first week of the training block. So finally, the last few weeks, I do dial it down to around 30 miles. So I will run most days just to keep my legs ticking over, but the speed and distance of those runs, it does decrease. As for me, the last 2 or 3 weeks before the marathon, you just want to stay fresh and not do any more of the long runs, really. So that's out of the way. So this will then tide me over until race day, where I feel okay, I'm ready to give the marathon sort of my best effort, really. So what type of runs do I do during my training? So, as previously mentioned, I tend to just stick to easy running the first few weeks, really, and that will just be 5k's, sort of 5 milers, which are 8k's, and 10 kilometers, and then my weeks will start consisting of easy runs on a Monday to start the week off, and then probably an effort session on a Tuesday. And then that moves us on to Wednesday, which will sort of be a recovery run. And Thursday will be just another effort session, really. Friday, again, is just another recovery run after the effort session. And then that heads nicely into Saturday's park run, which I, of course, love. And then we finish the week off nicely with a Sunday long run. And, the long runs can be challenging as you are, you're running for a long period of time. But what's worked for me is changing the route each time, and it just keeps things engaged for me, really, and interesting, and it makes sure that I'm not getting bored of doing the same routine and the same routes time and time again. So my long runs, they're usually 18 to 20 miles. So I will take 3 or 4 gels with me and have a gel roughly every 5 miles. And they just give me the energy to complete the long runs and make sure that, I am fueled for the run. Because it is so important to fuel correctly for a long run, because, you want to have that energy to keep on going for the whole distance without stopping and sort of cramping up, or just feeling like you can't carry on. Because so having those gels, it does help you sort of get through that the longer run. And I would definitely 100% recommend taking multiple gels for a long run, because it's what's worked for me and it's what I would recommend. But marathon training can be as much mental as it is physical. On the rough days, it does get tough, and I do think, why on earth am I doing this? And I just can't be bothered. But I do remind myself each day, everyone counts, and the beauty of the race day is that it is a celebration of the runs and all the hard work that I've put in throughout that block. But it does get hard, and sometimes I do think how easy it would have been just to not sign up for the race and just to carry on as normal, really. And think, well, I won't bother anymore. What's the point? But after the race, I know I am always so glad that I did it, and seeing my family and friends at the finish line, well, it just makes it all worth it. And that's the reason why I keep doing what I'm doing. But the marathon, it is definitely my favourite distance to race, which is kind of a crazy thing to say, but for some reason I have just always enjoyed it. And my ultimate goal is to run the 6 majors, and so I've already ran London, so hopefully I can complete the other 5. So I've done London. I want to do Tokyo, Chicago, Boston, New York, and what's the other one? Berlin. I think it might be Berlin. So it's always been an ambition of mine to complete them. And after doing the London Marathon, it definitely gave me the incentive, should I say, to carry on and to have that ambition of completing them. But marathons are really tough, and at first I only did 6 weeks training for my first marathon, and it was quite naive of me to do that, because I didn't really think that it required a lot of weeks and dedication to prepare for it, but it really, really does. You have to put the work in, because you can't shy away from a marathon, and when you're in the marathon, and if you've not put that work in and the weeks of training, then it will catch up to you, and you really will struggle. And that's something that I don't want to happen to me and to any of you guys, really. So that is probably one of my tips for the marathon, is to put in at least, I would say, minimum of 10 weeks in your training, and that go 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, 16 weeks. And I think that time just gives you enough preparation, really, to feel like you can finish the marathon and get a time that you are happy with in yourself. So thank you everyone again for tuning into another episode of the Run Temple podcast, episode 5 now. So it has flown by since the first episode, but it's great doing these each week for you. And stay tuned for next week's episode. And yeah, I'll see you then.